All right, Ghosts and Ghouls, we are here today. You got to say your name for me one more time.
Acoryé.
Acorye. Okay, I do not want to butcher that. So if you guys do not know who Mr. Acorye is, I definitely recommend going on Tubi right now and checking out Trinket Box. He is the writer, co-writer and director of the film as well. So for those who don't know exactly who you are, man, and what you do, can you give us, some backstory on who you are?
Yeah. Currently right now, first off, thank you for having me. But I'm Acorye White. I'm an actor first and foremost. There was a football player back in college, and I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna act. And then I fell into it and kind of fell in love with it as well. So, now my main focus is just acting. And now that I have my company up and running, I wanted to kind of tell stories the way I wanted to tell them and show that we can really create beautiful projects. So, and that what led me into directing and writing. And now you see us here with Trinket Box. So yeah, that's kind of my story, actor, and then now into writer and director.
Nice, man. So let's backstep a little bit. So you said that, so I know you were born in Alabama. So were you raised in Alabama as well?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And then you relocated to Atlanta. Are you currently still there?
Virginia first.
I'm sorry?
It was Virginia Beach, Virginia first, and then I came back. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So are you currently reside in Atlanta right now?
Yeah, in Atlanta right now, yeah.
Nice, man. That's beautiful. So you mentioned that you were in college playing football. Now, was acting just like something you did like while you were in college? Was film ever part of your studies?
Not at all. What happened is, it's so funny now that I think about it. I was in class and the teacher said, hey man, you got to go see a counselor. We need to figure some stuff out with your schedule. And I'm like, okay. I go down there and she's like, hey, you can't play football unless you have an elective. And I'm like, what's the easiest thing on the list? And she's like, well, we have this Theater 101. Theater 101, that's easy for me. And that's exactly how it started, man.
Wow, man, that's crazy. So like when you got into Theater 101, it's just something that clicked for you that like, okay, now this is what I want to do.
Yeah, and no, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first got in, it was like, yeah, it's an easy A, because it's, to me, I just put acting in the perspective of being outgoing, not shy, and that's just who I am. So when I got into the class, little did I know it was like 500 student athletes, and then you have the real people that were trying to go in for theater. And one day, it was like mid-year, a guy comes up and he's like, hey, I need a volunteer. And you have this theater students are kind of shy in front of the athletes, and then the athletes are too macho to go, perform. So you have me in the middle, like, okay, whatever, I'll go up. So I get on stage with him and he's like, all right, I want to do this scene with you. And I'm like, let's do it. And I'm like all animated and stuff. But when we do the scene, everything disappears. And then when we're done, everything comes back and people are clapping. And I'm like, for a minute, I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened? Because that only happened to me in sports. So I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to talk about this. And then we go outside. Maybe a week later, I see the professor. He's like, hey, man, if you get a chance to act, you should. And I'm like, I'm not going to act, man. I'm a football player. And a year later, as I'm getting ready to decide between football or acting, it's like, okay, I watched the movie Concussion with Will Smith, and it messed my mind up, man. I'm like, wait a minute. I can just act as a football player and make money as an actor because I started loving it. And that's exactly how I got into it. It was like my last year, junior year. And then by the time I was a senior, it was over.
And just to say, man, it's crazy how things like work out, man. So literally, you've been a football player, because I used to play football as well. But going from a football player to an actor, a lot of people do it. But you went from, a football player to an actor to director to, writer, and look at you now. Like, it's crazy how turn of events, and like you've been in like different Netflix series and all this stuff, man. So like taking that leap of faith is really, paving the way for you right now, man. So congratulations on all the success. So what was one of the first projects that you worked on as a paid professional?
Yeah. I actually booked we went on this, that's right when new media came out. So they were doing like, the web series and all these things. So it was a TV show called Hard Medicine. and it was like a mockumentary or something like that, and it was like picked up by UMC, and that was my first audition. And I love like the in-person theme because my personality kind of takes over. So I booked my first audition. So I was like, oh, this is pretty easy. Little did I know it got a lot harder, once you go up to network stuff. So my first time working with a name actress, Alfre Woodard, that's what it was in Juanita on Netflix. So, and that right there, man, I'll say this. I kind of spoke it into existence because when I first started, I was like, I told everybody that I'm gonna act now. I'm done with football, and they were like, "So you're gonna turn down NFL tryouts? You're gonna turn down offers to go to Canada and international to try to act? You think you're Denzel and all this stuff?" So I heard like everything, bro. And my mother, she gonna hate this if she ever sees this. She's like, nope, I think you should go to the military. If you're not gonna play sports, go to the military. And I'm like, all right, nobody believes that I can do this. Then I always leave my grandmother for last because she says the most realistic stuff for me. And I went down to her and I'm like, hey, grandma, I think I want to act. And like, I just want to know what your opinion is. And she was like, she said something I'll never forget. You don't want to be my age and regret not doing something. So if you're going to do it, and you're going to put in the hard work you've done with everything else in your life, do it. She said, I don't care if you're a garbage man. If you're the best garbage man on the planet, I'm happy. But if you're going to do this, it's going to be hard. You will struggle. But if you put in the work you put in, you will be on TV. And I never forget, that's all I needed. So I went out and I said, all right, 2 years from today, I'm gonna book my first Netflix show. And then 2 years from that, I'm gonna get my first theatrical movie. And then within 10 years, I'm gonna make my own movie. And everything is actually hit on point. Like I booked my first Netflix show a year and 6 months after saying that. And I'm playing the son of Alfre Woodard, who I just grew up watching Love and Basketball. So I'm like, wait a minute, what? And then Laurence Fishburne, I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm working with people that I've met, but I found myself like feeling as equal. Like respectfully, I admire what they do, but when I'm on set with them, I'm seeing myself hold my own. And it's like a beautiful feeling when you work so hard through the struggles, like being homeless while doing all this, because there's no money when you start out. You're putting everything into it. But now, man, it's all been worth it. Like I will say that it's been very worth it. Yeah.
Man, for sure. But so, when you did the Netflix series, what comes next for you? Like, is there like a period of time where like you took any time off to venture off and do other endeavors?
So after the Netflix gig, I was like, okay, this is great. It's going to come out. And then I automatically knew they were going to do a second one because I was talking to the writers. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to be boom, boom, boom. And then it pauses. It never happens. COVID comes. So like, it's just like a whole stretched out window of me speaking with that writer and who's Alfre Woodard's husband. So it's like, I'm cool with Alfre now and all that, but nothing happens there. So I go off and start booking other things. And that's when I booked the movie with Laurence Fishburne. It was a football movie based on a true story. I played running back. It was like, and the guy was close to his grandmother. So it couldn't have been a better role for me. But the downside to this is important who's in charge, because the executive producers, the company that ran that movie, they didn't do right by it. So instead of staying to the true part of the story, they say, oh, let's scrap the football and let's just tell the story. I'm like, well, we can't scrap the football in the South. Like in the South, that's not a thing. High school football is just as important as college. And I was telling them this on set, and they were like, oh, no, they're from Minnesota. So they didn't get it. And when the movie came out, it was great to see that, Paramount picked it up and all this stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, where's the football? This is stupid. So what should have blown me up and made me a mega star, because they say, oh, we'll keep this money and, pay ourselves. And the football, people will love it because it's a movie. And I'm like, this is going to tank. And I was right about it because like it didn't do what it should have did. But, I still got the good experience out of it because, talking to Laurence Fishburne and hearing him talk to me and say, you're going to be great one day. That's all I need. So it was a trip for real.
Man. So going into Trinket Box, like where did this come from? Like where did this fester in your mind, man?
Yeah, it was anger. So when I say that, you're gonna get it. me and Patricia, who's the co-writer, co-director, my lady, we were helping out a lot of other people get their stuff off the ground. And we were helping out these brothers and a friend. And we ended up getting them money to do a project because they didn't have it. And then once we got the stuff we needed for them, they immediately like switched up on us. They were like, well, we want to do this and we want to take Patricia's percentage back. And they were like, it's just access points. I'm like, where's this disrespect coming from? And it just made us so mad that we were like, why are we trying to do this for everybody else when we can just do this for ourselves and put it into our own movie? So we actually wrote, like, you know what, scrap it, screw everybody. I'm tired of it. You know, my last movie, people wasn't trying to help with Bailmount, which is my like action thriller movie. It was just lie after lie. So we ended up just writing the script in 7 days. Then we let someone like look at it, check it out. And then we took like another 2 or 3 days to get it flushed out where we wanted it. So we wrote it in 10 days. That's how mad we were. We were like 7 to 10 pages a day. We were like going at it. And then we was like, oh, we're gonna get the money, because there was a guy that was like, oh, I'll give you 150K, you know, for this movie for the brothers. But when it came to me, I'm just gonna say he didn't want to give it to me. I'm not gonna go into details why.
Yeah.
But, you can put that context in, but that was a sour moment because now we're a month out from filming. We got the thing cast, and now the money's gone. Like we were like, oh, that's not gonna happen. So we got creative, and I was like, okay. Patricia's risk adverse. I can't be risk adverse being an actor. So I'm like, I could tell she was getting uncomfortable. She's like, I don't know about this anymore. I'm like, well, okay, well, what would make you feel better? She's like, if we had money today. I'm like, okay, we're a month out. If I don't have us money, a certain amount, within 2 weeks, we pull the project. And she's like, okay, done. I agree with you. I don't like any risk, but I'll take it for you. So I went out my way. I was just talking to people. Bro, if you ever do a movie, get everything that people say. If they can't put it in writing, don't believe it. So I had some people, oh, I got 50K for post-production. And I'm like, all right, so I just need to get the money for this and this. So nobody wanted to invest. It was the craziest thing ever. Like everybody pulled out. And I'm like, okay, so this is how this is gonna go. And then funny enough, my cousin, she works for the government and stuff. And I hit her up about investing before. And I was like, hey, do you want to still be a part of the project? And this is like our last strike before we just canceled the whole thing. And she doesn't know this until probably now. So we're sitting there and I'm like, I told Patricia, I said, I think I got to give away my company. Like, I got to give a piece of the pie because apparently something's wrong with people believing in what I'm saying. So I have to give them a piece of the pie. And you're about to find out some stuff people don't know. So you're getting the fresh digs on all the the stuff behind the scenes. So hopefully this helped out other filmmakers. So I was like, okay, I have 100% of my company because I've never given it up. And in 2018, when I started the company, people, oh, why are you starting a company? You don't have any money to put into the movies and stop. Why are you wasting your time? Thankfully, I did that because it showed I've had a company for 5 years. So since I maintained the LLC for 5 years, I have something I can give away. So I said, okay, let me give a percentage away and I'll stop here. I will never give out more than 25% of my company because I want to save some for my kids. You know, Patricia has to get some. So I got to think long-term. But for now, I can give something away. And I told my cousin that, and she's like, look, I don't even care about reading the script. I believe in you, and I've seen you go from 0 to 100. Every time you want to do something different in life, you figure out a way to get it done. So she said, I don't want to be the one that not believe in you, and then you take off, and then I'm like, I regret it. So I was like hoping she would come in with like 5K, just give us something so that we can just keep moving. And she's like, well, she invited Nelson. So this is her guy at this time. And he's a movie buff. I don't know this at all. So we're all talking in the call, and then they have a Zoom meeting like this right here. And before you know it, he's like, hold on a second. They put me on mute, and me and Patricia are just sitting here like, I don't know what's gonna happen. We're like hoping for like 5,000. And they come back and they're smiling. I'm like, go ahead and just go ahead and say it. And she's like, okay, so we want to invest in the company. Because she's like, because if this movie doesn't do well, maybe later on the next one will. So we want to invest in the company, but we're really investing in you. And I was like, okay, just give you, what are you thinking about? And she like, she just did way more than I thought. I was like, oh, like you legit want to do that much? And she's like, yeah, I want this part of much of the company and this, and I'll take this much of the movie. So we gave 2 deals. This is how we got creative at getting money. We gave their percentage of the film and percentage of the company. So they're getting residuals twice on everything if the movie was to sell. So yeah, so you see how, okay, this is very lucrative if it works out. So we do that. And she comes in, and that puts us like triple the budget that Patricia wanted to be comfortable. So we know now we're greenlit, so we can move. And then after that, man, it just like her family chimed in. And, they're like immigrants and stuff. So they were like, working hard. So they were like, hey, look, I know you guys have been struggling hard and people kind of counsel on you. So here's some money I've been saving aside for something that you may want, Patricia. So put it into your movie and see what happens. So now we're like, oh, like we can do the whole thing now. And all we got to worry about is that guy that was going to cover the final production. So I hit him up at the end and said, hey man, can you still cover the final post-production piece? Because we got the money to do the whole production. Now we're good to go. And he's like, yeah, just message me, send me clips when you're done, and we'll make it happen. Do the whole movie, get to him, he ghosts us. So we have post to complete, final payments to pay out, and we're 60K in the hole because dude is gone. Like, and that's where we end up being. And then I talked to another guy. He said, oh yeah, I got 50K. Don't worry about it. I'll replace it. Lie. So what ended up happening is one of my friends, Ken, he ends up coming into money from one of his investments. And he's like, look, man, I want a piece of the company too, because I know you, if this takes off, anybody that's not a part of what you're doing is gonna be mad. So he said, look, I can't give you all of it, but I at least knock out the part that can get you into theaters. Because we had a theatrical release in the US on our own. And I know you might want to know about that. I called a lot of theaters, bro. Like every theater in the United States, I had the number. I called every number I could until I got in contact with all the Regal, AMC, Cinemark, Harkins, and Marcus Theater, that are the top 5 in the US. I have a relationship with all of them now. And now we built a distribution, theatrical distribution, like through our company. So not only did we come through all this, now we know how to just call Regal and, hey, we got a movie. They'll say, hey, send the screener, let us view it, and then we'll let you know how many theaters will accept it. So instead of us going to Lionsgate, now we have a connection right to a Regal. So if their split is 50-50, there's no 50-50 them, then 25-35 Lionsgate, and then 10% us. It's straight right down the middle. So we make $1 million theaters, our company brings in $400,000-$500,000. So that's the power trip we did. Because once we were there, we were like, you know what? I told Patricia, I'm sick of it. I said, you go to sleep every night. I'm gonna just stay on the calls. I'm gonna stay on the emails. I'm gonna make everybody that didn't believe in us pissed off when they see what happens. And I said, we're gonna get a 6-figure streaming deal. We're gonna get international theatrical deals. And everyone's like, dude, don't you know how many percent of filmmakers make money? 1%. 1% of independent, less than break even. But 1% of filmmakers make money, and only less than 1% make money. So we end up getting a streaming deal. And the reason we went with Tubi, because they pretty much outbid everybody else. I can't disclose the number, but it was very nice amount of money. And of course they pay like quarterly and stuff like that. But I was telling everybody, like, what if we get a 6-figure deal streaming in the US? And what about if we get international theatrical deals? Oh, it's not possible. So we went to AFM. We pitched to every company there. And when we left, we had, I think, 3 or 4 international deals. We got a sales agent that did the Terrifier 2. So now they're out there talking to the people in Germany and all the other countries. And then we got Mexico and all this other stuff. And we just had our first international theatrical release that released in the CIS. And we were in the top 10 for the last 2 weeks. And we have like 2 more weeks left. And I think the movie has grossed like 300,000 in 2 weeks.
Man.
See what I'm saying? So, and that's crazy, right? If now we stop, none of that ever happens. So Patricia was like, man, this is so stressful. I said, but babe, just if it works out the way we know what we're doing, if that number comes in and we're in the top 10 in our first theatrical release, because we got Latin America, South America, all that coming in the fall. So, I mean, we usually make $1 million or more per territory. So I said, think about the split we're going to take home. All of our investors will make all their money back and some. And then our company is launched There's no one can tell us not to make movies. We can fund our own projects. That's how we build wealth. That's how we started out. And I know that was a long-winded answer, but that's kind of like how we got to where we are now. Because again, we haven't even told anybody about the theatrical numbers because people aren't just going to IMDb and looking. But if you look, it's there. So we're already at 300,000 and we still have 2 weeks up there. And then it's going straight to Latin America next. So it's getting very interesting now, bro.
Man, what a journey. I mean, it just speaks to like, you know, you and you know, your fiance's just perseverance, man. Cause just imagine like all the success that you guys are having or reaping right now from, you know, those late stressing.
Yeah.
Huge, man. That's huge. Like you said, there's a lot of filmmakers out there that, you know, put more money into it that they never reciprocate from.
Yeah.
And you literally homegrown this. And now, I mean, everybody's talking about this. I didn't even, you know, put your name up or anything. I literally strolled through Tubi because I love watching, you know, film.
Yeah.
And saw it, and I'm like, Trinket Box. Okay, let's check this out. And I'm like, I can talk to this guy. And I'm like searching Facebook, and you know, lo and behold, man, you're a great person, and you know, you want to talk as well. So I'm like, you know, why not? Because I mean, when I see somebody that looks like me,
and
you know, they're doing successful, and you know, that inspires me to, you know, to be better and to do more. So man, that is awesome. So I mean, even though you guys wrote this and you were pissed off, I mean, so where did the idea though from the Trinket Box come from?
Yeah, so we were sitting there and we were like, okay, we're gonna do horror. That was like a given. We gotta be able to. Horror is that genre like people are gonna watch regardless of what it is. Like even if it looks horrible, they're gonna watch it because you're like, what if it's scary though? So we knew right then we were gonna start with horror, but we wanted to tell a story about us. And like she's from Poland originally. So she doesn't even know, like if you go to the South, I told her about houses with pillars and she's like, what? And then I took her to where I'm from and she's like, oh my God, there's like pillars on every house. So the home that you see in the movie has pillars because it's a representation of where I come from. So for her, we were like, let's tell a story and like make it realistic. Let's really try to make something, but at the same time, let's give people a really good scare, you know, that's gonna watch it and get that horror feeling and kind of keep you engaged. So Trinket Box, it was like, what do we do that hasn't been done? Because we didn't want to recreate anything. It's like we need to be original because what if there's a part 2, which I can't keep talking about? So I'm gonna stop right there. So I was like, let's start something new because now if you watch Trinket Box, you know it can turn into a series. So it's like if we play it right, it can be very, very interesting. So that's what we did in the Trinket Box. We were talking and talking and talking, and then we were like, what if they find something in the house? Like, what are they looking for? Like, what is the root to all these problems? We were like, well, it needs to be something hidden that someone finds. And then we were like, what do you put stuff in? And we kept going, and finally we got to the idea of a Trinket Box. What if it was a Trinket Box? And then we were like, oh, what if it had these witch symbols and all this stuff? We were like, okay, well, what about the story? Where does the witch come from? And then that's how the Trinket Box happened. And then we like developed everything else around that world of like, there's a Trinket Box, there's witch symbols on it. There's something in there that when people touch it, it possesses them. But what else? Why is this happening? And mind you, we didn't have time to really go into like the details. So I'm just gonna give you because I like this. I'm glad you reached out to me, and I haven't done an interview since this really real one yet. So I'm gonna like this and let you know, like, that's not the end of Trinket Box. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let you just run with that one. Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that because I was literally talking to my wife, and I'm like, this can't stop right here. Like, this cannot end because, you know, I'm so intrigued to like, you know, where it actually came from, you know, and then it's in the house. Little girl stumbles upon it. I don't want to give too much away, any spoiler, but like, and then like the ending, man, like, it's just like, this has happened before. Like, I try not to want closure from horror, but it's like, I want to see a certain someone in the end really pay for all the trouble that they have caused. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping, fingers crossed, you know, there's a Trinket too, man.
Yeah, I would just say this. We're talking with like all our teams now because again, since the success in international now, it's starting to kind of change things. And we were like most popular for a while on Tubi. So like having to have the conversation with them, we still own the theatrical rights to it. So if I want to say anything, there's no one that can stop me. That's the trick. I'll tell you about that later. But I'm just gonna say this: you're gonna be very happy if what we're writing right now comes to fruition, because when you have 7 days to write something and 10 days to get it out, and you're trying to flesh it out and you have two minds on it, it makes it easier. But when you have months to get something, if you were scared before, you might not want to watch what's coming because you might throw up this time. Like the goal is to the goal is to see how sick we can make you in the theater. Because again, if we're doing Trinket Box 2, it's going to be a theatrical wide US release first in like 700 theaters, because we're going big from here on out. It's because we just got to put it out, and we're going to attach names and stuff. So if what we're planning right now actually happens, Trinket Box 1 does not compare to what is coming. And it's just like, I wish I could tell you what's coming, but just know it hasn't been done before. That's the crazy thing about it. It's like, how do you create horror in a story and without losing the story? Because a lot of people lose the story in it. But once you like want to know what has happened, where it comes from, we got to answer those questions for you. But you might not like the answers. You find out. So
I'm all game for it, man. I am a horror connoisseur, as you can see.
I see that. I love it, man.
It's just a fraction, but
yeah.
man, so just one question I had to ask. So in the film, you know, your wife, your film wife was, you know, I'm trying not to get nothing away for people who haven't seen it yet. You guys were expecting. So was that like an actual, like, were you guys really expecting in the film and it just kind of went away, or was that like the demon itself, like manifesting itself?
Yeah. So when you're working on a budget, this is another thing. Some things don't make it into the film. The ending you saw on paper was 12 times worse. Like you didn't even see what was supposed to happen. Like we shot that ending scene with 4 people. Like we shot that completely in a whole different location, LA, and we didn't have what we needed. Like there was a point where she was like levitating in the script and like on the wall. So it's like it gave us chills writing it. So best believe what you didn't get to see this time, it's a lot of things that just couldn't make it because again, we were limited. But now we're not going to be limited. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say. But the baby thing was supposed to happen. She was actually pregnant, but it wasn't his. Since they made love and she was supposed to be expecting because she did get pregnant by him. But again, since the lady was coming in and then the racist stuff started to happen, it kind of fueled the fire. And in the next one, we explain some things that I want to tell you so bad. We're gonna have to do this on the next time too. But a lot of things get explained, and man, it's yeah. But it has to do with the baby for sure.
For sure, man. I love it. And I like there was a little bit of the comedy aspect in there too.
Yeah.
When and it's crazy because like I said, again, my wife is Caucasian, and even before we even seen the movie, I hate the word boy. Like if somebody has a, because I'm from Georgia myself, born and raised in Cartersville, Georgia. So when somebody call you a boy and you're African American, you're like, okay, no.
Exactly.
And I looked at my wife, and when the lady was like, "Boy," I'm like, "You see, you like it's like you can make reference points." And then he was like, "Oh, the sweet tea is diabetes," and you go and dump it out like you racist, dude. That hit home, so man, and it was incredible. So I mean, what are you working on now? I know you said that you had some other stuff in the works, but is there anything that's coming out soon that us fans can?
Yeah, so we're working on 2 different things. So Um, well, obviously, I'm gonna just tell you first. You get to know first. We are working on the sequel to Trinket Box. So I can't tell you which direction we're gonna go because there's two ways to go there. You can go after or you can go before. So it's like I'm gonna let your mind figure out like how we're gonna play it. But we're working on that one. And it's been fun writing this because again, we have time to kind of really go in depth. But the other movie we're working on is Bail Mount, and that's one I wrote. Started writing in 2017. It was ready to go, and then it took years of just fleshing it out. Same kind of thing. Producers saying, "Oh, we can do this," then they don't do it. And then we did Trinket Box, and then the girl we wanted for the lead, Five Stewart, who's on the Netflix Recruit. I don't know if you watched that show, but if you have, she's in that movie. She's in Uma that came out in theaters. So she's the lead in that movie, and it's an action thriller. So we have her. Who else we have? DP, we just attached. Lula Carvalho, he did like Ninja Turtles and Narcos. And then, yeah, we have one of the top stuntsmen in Hollywood, Chris Brewster. He's like the actual Captain America in all the movies. And he does all the Black Panther stunts and all that stuff. So he's doing the stunts for it. So we got that movie coming. It's an action thriller. And it's graphic. It's a lot of John Wick style training we're doing. So I've been like bulking up, and now I'm on like a cut. So I've been like going through this workout process to gain the muscle mass back, and then leaning up for the next like 8 to 10 weeks of just training, and then going into stunts training. And then if all that works out with the SAG stuff that's on like strike right now, hopefully that works out. But if not, we'll be doing both movies coming into next year. So those are the two things we're working on now, just getting all this stuff ready to go.
Nice. Now, how was it like, writing for yourself? Like, because I know like maybe writing for other people is probably a little bit easier, maybe. But like, how do you like write for yourself? Like, how do you know what works best for you?
Yeah. Somebody like as me in a scene, or just like okay. For me, I like to challenge myself. A lot of people will like write themselves being a cool cat, and like, oh, I can't do this. I got to be cool. Da, 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 da. Like, as you see, I like to make myself emotional and see, like, I'm testing myself out in the movie. Because in Trinket Box, a stereotypical thing that is like Black men don't have like emotions at all. Like, we're just so stuck. And it's like, no, we just go through a lot and we don't show a lot, like over 70% of us don't have a father figure in a home. And then like, mothers are doing so much, they're never really home with us. So it leads us to going into most of the time either crime or all these other things. And it's not, the statistics are not looked at in the right way. So for me, it's like, how do I show someone that makes it out of all that and not be judged because you think like, oh, I'm assume since this happened, he can't be that in this movie. So that's what you see in Trinket Box. It's like, through everything he's going through, he's still trying to be that good person. He's working, he's doing his thing. And the underlying message in Trinket Box is no matter what he does or what we do, at the end, you're still going to suffer for it. So that's the message. If you think about the whole thing from beginning to end, you're like, dang, this dude, and even the dude in the beginning, he died over love. And like, it's like, he did all that because he was in love with this girl and it wasn't accepted. He didn't do anything wrong. It just wasn't accepted by something as simple as skin color. So, and it goes back and it continues to follow us. Like, we're never doing anything wrong by falling in love with who we fall in love with. But us falling in love makes other people pissed off. So, and that just continues a circle here in the South. So it's like, since we're filming here, let's put a truth element to it that people like me are gonna connect to. And girls that date people like me are gonna be like, yeah, that's real, that's legit. I see that happening. So that's kind of where we wanted to go. So for me, it was like, I was stepping into a new world, directing, like running the production and like, acting lead. So I never learned my lines. Like, I literally wrote it, never looked at it again. So I looked at my scene 20 minutes before doing it. And my lady was like, are you going to remember that? Like, you got like 7 pages of dialogue. And I'm like, I'm going to test myself out and see, am I really the actor I think I am? And what happens is I knew everything. Like, it just came to me. And even with the emotional scene, our first AD was like, can you cry? I'm like, what you mean can I cry? She's like, well, all those guys and girls, like, I can cry. Then they got like tear sticks. They don't cry for real. I'm like, go be in the room when I get on the camera. So they were all in there watching the monitor. You got like 7 people like trying to see if I can cry. And then Patricia tells the DP, don't move. On this scene, you stay on him. You push into him the whole time. And then when he gets to a certain word, he gonna drop his tear. And it's how he works. So I don't like to go back and forth. I'm like, hey, Sean, I'm gonna do this one time. Did take one time. We didn't do it back up. Nothing. I said, I'm gonna do one scene. I'm gonna kill it. We're gonna be done with it. Just move on. So we do the scene, and everybody's like, dude, is he really gonna really cry on cue, like he said? And as he got that camera to the point where the words are, the tears start to come. And then we just finished the scene, and we did it one take, done. And everybody's in there crying and like, dude, I'm good.
You are, because like literally, I was like, wow. Again, watching that, I was like, he really did that on cue, on point. And you know, my wife was even like, are they really in a relationship together? Because it's like you guys really brought, like, you feel like you could really feel it. And I'm like, I felt sorry for you, man. I wanted, like, I'm not trying to give away any spoilers. I just felt so bad for you, man. I'm like, yeah, you know, I want somebody, you know, but it is what it is, man. It's a great movie, and I'm excited for the future for you and your fiance, and you know, just your family. So, how well has your family really gravitated it towards the success that you're having?
Let me see. Like, so me and Patricia, we're great together. Like when I started dating her, I'm not someone that likes to mess around like too long. I'm like, hey, I need to know where we're going, because like my pathway is like, I see this in my future. And if we dating or we're going out, I'm spending money on somebody I'm not gonna be with. So I need to know what you want and see what do we align, because I know immediately. So we go on a date, and I'm hearing about her lifestyle and like how she had a hard upbringing, you know, being an immigrant and coming here as, you know, baby, basically, little girl, and having to learn a whole new language, new world. Now she speaks like 4 languages, so it's a benefit sometimes. But like seeing her struggle and seeing like our parents struggle so much, it kind of like woke me up to like, dang, it's people out there that don't look like me that's going through the same thing. So it made our relationship a lot easier. But I did give her a 90-day rule. I said, I'm not gonna date you for 90 days. And she was like, she thought I was joking at first. I'm like, she's like, what do you mean? Like, you know, something just tell you on the first date, I'm not gonna date you for 90 days. She's like, are we seeing other people for 90 days or what? I said, no, I'm gonna treat this like a detox or weight or gain or what do you call it? A lifestyle plan. I said, because if you do something for 30 days, you can do it. You want to say, hey, I want a trophy for it. I did it. If you do it for 60 days, you're going to really struggle. And then you're like, okay, I completed it, but I don't know if I'm going to stick to it. But if you can do something for 90 days or stick with anything for 90 days, you can change your whole lifestyle. So I said, I've never done this before. And I've been looking into like how I train my body. And usually it takes 90 days to get where I want to be. So I said, I'm going to treat this relationship the same way. I said, I won't see nobody else. We can be exclusive. I said, but I'm not making you my girlfriend for 90 days because I want a wife. I don't want a girlfriend. And she's like, okay, I can get that. And we had, I think, one real disagreement right around day like 78. It was a weird thing. And she's like, I said, hey, look, I don't argue. So I'm gonna go away for a little bit and I'm gonna come back and let you calm down. I think you're a little upset. And then she's like, no. I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm just in my head about it. And we fixed it immediately. And then at that point, I knew, okay, so when we get here, I said, hey, look, this is what we do every time. And our relationship is going to be smooth. So we've had a really great relationship. Her parents, they don't even speak my language. They love me. So they speak a little bit of my language. And I'm like learning Polish, which is tremendously hard. But I got like the Babbel app and I'm learning how to say certain things, like, you know, how to eat and drink and, you know, how to greet you. And then my family, man, like for her to come into my family, like I'm in part ghetto, part country, part hood. So I brought her down and she fit right in. Like they're like, oh, hey, Trisha. So they cooking her. My grandma gave her a nickname called Trish. I'm like, when did you give her a nickname? So like the family dynamics, like they love her and they see that she sacrificed a lot to come in this. And that's how we work. Like at one point she's working with her job, who's like McKinsey, or like the #1 consulting firm in the country. And it was so stressful because she does so much good work they push more on her. And I said, hey, look, just stop, quit, take some time off, go draw, do art. Just take some months off. I'll continue working my job and then we'll do things together. And you just need to reset. And she was able to do that. And then, you know, if I'm ever at a hard point, she's like, hey, if you ever need anything, if I'm doing well and you're at a point where you need a break, you take your time off and do that. And I think that's so important for people to understand in a relationship that if you're going to marry somebody, you should go into it thinking it's for a lifetime. But so many people like date now, like, oh, you know, I got a backup plan in case this don't work. If we fight one time, I'm out. No, it can't be that way. If it's easy, everybody would do it. That's why marriages don't last that long, because people aren't willing to work through that, you know, that traumatic part and kind of figure out each other. Because once you figure that part out, it's all good. So, you know, we figured all that out for 2 years. Family love each other. And I think working together has made us closer because she finally got to see like what I go through. And I see what she goes through with her work. So putting it together, man, it just like we have talks now. And when people say, oh, I want to work with you guys, like they get like one chance with us. And we're like, no, they're not serious. We're not wasting time. Like we don't waste no time anymore. Like we're on a mission. I put a thing on social media today. I don't think I posted on Facebook, but I was basically saying like, stop trying to get a table, a seat at the table of other people's places. Stop trying to get a seat at the table of other people's tables. Stop trying to join tables and build your own table. Put your own seats up there and then bring like-minded people to your table, and then also bring people that you're striving to be like and put them at the table and let them see the value in you and they'll want to come. I said, because if you do that, and then if you build success with that table, people are going to keep flocking to you. They're going to want to be there. But we're so eager to want to work with everybody and be a part of what they're doing over here. And you don't even know if it's even worth it. It might be just breaking apart, but it looks real good. So it's the thing. Sometimes you got to just sit back and be like, okay, this is hard. But at the end of it, if it continues like this, man, it got to be something good. Because I'm a Christian. So I'm not somebody that's like, I hate people that are not Christian. That's not me. I'm a people person. So I just feel their energy and that's how we move. But for me, I got to believe in God. It's like, if I'm going through this hard thing, there's going to be something on the other end that's worth it. And even Tyler Perry said, I wanted to die. He said, but if I would have died, I would be missing the most important and greatest part of my life. And I'm looking at it the same way. Like I never wanted to die, but I wanted to quit. And I wanted to be like, why am I doing this? But now, man, once you figure out the basics, it's like, it's simple. Things are going to be hard, but they're supposed to be because it's worth it. So, I mean, relationships are hard, marriages are hard, filmmaking is hard. People work, the garbage men, their jobs are hard, janitors. But if you make it through, it's all worth it.
That's really inspirational. And it's actually funny that I had an interview earlier today with Michael Levy. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah. No, Terrifier and all that good stuff. You know, he has a new stream coming out. And he actually said the same exact thing you just said. And that's kind of gave me goosebumps as far as like, you know, having like-minded people around you, building your own table, literally verbatim said the same exact thing. So it just goes to show you, like, you know, a lot of you guys, like the filmmakers, directors, writers, you know, you're out here building your own table and bringing people who you feel like can add to whatever, you know, you already have. So it's just, the sky's the limit for you guys, man. I'm excited for you. Like I said,
I said, you too. You keep doing this, man. Look, I'm looking forward to you being that star interview one day. We're like, hey, man, remember 5 years ago we did an audition and now, we did the interview and now we here.
For sure. See, for me, it's like, this is just like, I like, you know, horror. I like film. So I'm not even, for me, it's not even serious. It's just me like connecting with people and like having fun, you know, at the end of the day. But man, I'm happy for you. I cannot wait to see where this goes. And, you know, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but, you know, where can, you know, people connect with you at? Like, what are some of your social media handles?
Yeah, so all of my social media is pretty much like my name because there's not an Acoryé out yet. But so at Instagram, it's Acoryé, Acorye White. Just type that in. Then on Twitter, it's the only Acoryé. And then Facebook, it's Acoryé.white. And then I also have a company website, Anchored, ANCHORED, Lens Productions.com. If you want to like if people want to get into the movie stuff and they wanted to know like legit ways and not scam ways about how to get stuff done, I talk about the same thing I'm talking about with you right now in details and kind of what to watch out for, because we almost got scammed into contracts with known companies, and they offer you a little bit of money, but you look at the contract, it's like $50,000 sale marketing fee each year. It's like, what, for 20 years? That don't make sense. So like we teach all that stuff, and we're about to start classes to help people really get out there, because if people want to do the work, we can just help them, guide them. And that's the other thing we do, man. We're just trying to help people out. And my company actually gives 10% of all earnings toward our homeless apprenticeship and like our outreach programs, because that was big to me, being like homeless. Even as a kid, one time, my mother, when I kept bouncing back and forth to homes, so I was like, one day I'm gonna do something about this. So my thing is like, at some point, if our company reaches its evaluation, when, you know, I think in 15 years, we're supposed to be worth $1 billion. If we do all the things we say, we can just give water wells to, you know, places like, you know, Africa or Thailand. It's a lot of places that don't have like clean water to just drink. And I mean, these wells cost like 15 grand to build. So imagine, like, my goal is to put a lot of water wells and like give people crops and stuff to kind of figure out how to grow their own food and have their own type of survival. And also with our homeless apprenticeship program, where we take kids that are homeless in college or artists that are homeless and have them work on set and kind of put them back into the world and just try to make their lives a little better. And hopefully it'll continue as they go on. So it's a lot of good stuff we're doing. And that's why I work so hard on this. And we work so hard, because at the end of the day, it's way bigger than me. And if you work with that mentality, you're going to be successful at some point.
Man, that's golden, man. That is, you're a man with a plan, and like I said, the sky's the limit, man. I'm just happy that you had the time to chat with me a bit, man. So that's all I had for you today. I definitely look forward to seeing, you know, what you got coming up. Also, I definitely want to stay in touch, man, because I, you know, you can kind of mentor me a little bit on, you know, I'm not an actor by any means, but, you know, just film related stuff, because I have plenty of to ask, man, for sure.
Yeah. I'm always here, man. We'll have a relationship from here on out. And I'm expecting you to be even on a bigger platform soon doing this, because again, you're really good at it. It's easy to talk to you. You're very personable. So this might be something you really might want to really kick in the high gear, man. Because if you can do this now, all you need is just a bigger camera and more space and a lot of all that horror stuff shown, man. And you do a lot, bro.
I'm 27, so I'm still trying to figure it out. That niche in life. But, you know, this is just something, you know, for fun now. But again, man, I thank you for your time. I seriously do appreciate it. And I will definitely stay in touch, man, for sure.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you again.
Good night.
All right, you too, brother.
All right.
All right.